Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
David Benavidez says Canelo Alvarez is ducking, and look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And David Benavidez went on ESPN's First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and he stated, and I quote, "I definitely do think Canelo Alvarez is trying to avoid me. The whole boxing world knows that this is the biggest fight in boxing, and it's just because he's scared." So he's saying that Canelo Alvarez is avoiding him, he's ducking him, and he's doing it because he's afraid of David Benavidez. Now, this is two parts. I agree and disagree with this statement, and this is what I mean. Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter, a legendary fighter, a Hall of Fame fighter. This man is not afraid of anybody. He's fought better fighters than David Benavidez. Everyone from Floyd Mayweather to Dimitri Bivol to Triple G to a prime Danny Jacobs to Sergey Kovalev. So Canelo Alvarez literally has no reason to be afraid of David Benavidez because he doesn't bring anything to the table that Canelo should be afraid of. So at the end of the day, I disagree with that 100%. Canelo Alvarez is an excellent fighter, a great fighter, and he's not afraid of David. But what is interesting is David stated, I do think he's trying to avoid me. He's trying to duck me. And when it comes to that point, that's contingent on Canelo Alvarez's next move. Think about this. Canelo Alvarez, what is the biggest fight in boxing for Canelo right now? David Benavidez and no one else. Let's just be honest and unbiased about it. It's not even close. Canelo Benavidez is the biggest fight for Canelo Alvarez right now. And not only that, when you look at Canelo Alvarez's options for his next fight, you have William Skull, you have Terrence Crawford, you have Edgar Berlanga. None of those guys are bigger than a David Benavidez fight. None of those guys will sell like a David Benavidez fight. None of those fights are what people are asking for. But a David Benavidez fight is what people are asking for. I mean, we have to keep the same energy. If Canelo Alvarez ends up fighting Terrence Crawford over David Benavidez, that's a duck. If Canelo Alvarez ends up fighting Edgar Berlanga over David Benavidez, that's a duck. If Canelo Alvarez fights William Skull, his mandatory, but does not turn around and fight Benavidez after, then that too becomes a duck. See, at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez, you have to give everybody the fight they want to see, and that's David Benavidez. And I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan, and I need to see Canelo fight David Benavidez. You fighting a Bud Crawford who doesn't belong in the weight class. You fighting an Edgar Berlanga who we all agree is trash. And I have no problem with you fighting your mandatory, but it must lead to something, and that something has to be David Benavidez. So the expectation for Canelo Alvarez is high. You must fight David Benavidez as soon as possible.